Good evening, you're welcome to episode 7, season 1 of A Brief History of Nothing. I'm not James.
And I happen not to be Ray.
Okay, tonight we're going to talk about Brisbane's torrential downpour last week. We copped, in 48 hours, we copped nearly 400 millimetres. We copped, on the Thursday we copped nearly 100 millimetres, and on the Friday we copped about 300 millimetres of rain. And as a consequence, Brisbane just basically went glug.
Yeah, and I'm a cab driver. Luckily, I was on the south. I'm a cab driver on the south side of Brisbane, so it's not as bad on the south side. But I had one job to take someone basically to the pub, to the bar, and it took me almost an hour for a drive that should take 20 minutes, because one of the major roads was down to a lane each way due to flooding. And also, I had a trip to take someone to the supermarket for the shopping, and I'm glad I picked them up when I did, because 5 minutes later, I wouldn't have done it. And the third one, I had to pick up an elderly couple from the doctors to take them home, and that took me a long time because all of the roads to get them to and from were flooded.
Yes.
And they were waiting there over an hour because we just simply couldn't get to them.
Yeah, well, I took 5 hours to get home from work on a trip that normally takes me 40 minutes because just so many roads were cut with the flash flooding, and I had friends who actually left. They were on public transport. They worked in not quite in the city of Brisbane, but just outside the inner city, and they got home nearly an hour after me. They were on public transport, so they were like 6 and 7 hours on a bus. And one lady I know of didn't get home until almost 1 a.m.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah, my brother who works for the post office was working in Brisbane, and a lot of the roads near there were underwater, and it took him a couple of hours to get home. So it was difficult. Now, you wanted to explain. People have, obviously, when things like this happen, sometimes they can just basically be really selfish and mean on the roads, and not only annoy other people, but create hazards.
Look, on several occasions there were exits off motorways, and people were backed up at these exits because the roads that were leading away from these exits were just either underwater or they were very reduced in capacity. And so these people were patiently waiting to get off, and other people would just shoot up the right-hand lane and then try and jam in. Now, it doesn't make you smart or clever to do that, it just makes you an asshole. Okay? Because people who are doing the right thing, they then have to they have to wait for you, and the people in the right-hand lane who should have had a free-flowing lane are stopped waiting for you to get in. So, have a little bit of consideration.
Yeah, and as I've mentioned earlier, on this show in a previous episode, I had guy when I was delivering for my previous job, try and squeeze between me and a big double tanker, when the traffic was stopping, and I was just waiting for the bang. And people don't understand that cars, other people, have inertia.
Yes.
That you can cause accidents by jamming in like that. It's very dangerous. Don't do it. Okay? Just stop it.
Yes.
We're good.
Be courteous.
Yes.
The idea is be courteous, don't be an arsehole. And the other thing is, another thing that really bugs me is people who, in dual lane carriageways, get in the right-hand lane and do about 10 or 15 kilometres an hour under the speed limit. And there's nothing in the left-hand lane, or they're sitting next to a car in the left-hand lane who's also, be courteous. It's not going to kill you to get out of the right-hand lane and let the traffic that's banking up behind you move. Okay? It doesn't make you smart or clever. It just makes you look like an arse. Okay?
Yes. And that is our first swear word on the Brief History of Nothing.
Yes. And I had in a related thing, I was having a talk to some friends recently, and we were talking about, and one of my pet peeves also is, if you're a tradie, okay, you've got your name and details emblazoned all over your vehicle, your work vehicle, okay? So if you drive like an arsehole, for whatever reason, if you're, just being discourteous, or you're being lazy, or, you're just driving badly and haphazardly, here's a clue. For me, this is what we talked about with this little group, for me, if I see you doing that, guess which person I'm not going to ring to get a quote for a job? You, because I suspect that if your driving is like that, your workmanship is like that. And we had this discussion, and a couple of people in the group agreed with me. A couple of people in the group well, actually the majority of the group hadn't really thought about it, but once we talked about it, thought, yes, that's probably the case. And a couple of other people thought, well, who cares?
Yeah, and particularly for me, being a professional driver, that's really important because the livery is all over the side of the car.
Yes.
And I'm driving people around. People want to be safe. So I would say to other cabbies and other professional drivers, to be limousine drivers or any other passenger driver, bus driver, be courteous and set a good example for other people, particularly because you are carrying other humans. So you have other lives at your disposal. So be careful.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a tradie, and as I saw there one day on my way to work, this guy in a plumber's van had a can of Coke in his hand, his mobile phone tucked up like this, and a burger in the other hand, driving the car with the backs of his hands.
Oh, that's good.
Right. Your vehicle weighs nearly 2 tonnes. I'm assuming with full of plumbing gear, you've probably added another half a tonne to the weight of the vehicle. So you've got a 3-tonne missile, and if somebody does something in front of you, and as thoughtless as you are, they're basically dead. And probably you, because you've got no room between you and the front of the vehicle in your van.
Vans are good like that, actually.
Yes, it'll take your legs out.
Yeah.
So have a think about driving,
Oh, yeah.
Use these strange little things called indicators so people know what you're up to. And just be courteous. Do not be an arsehole. It doesn't make you smart or clever if you be an arsehole and chop in front of somebody or think that, you can force your way in. It's not smart. It just makes you look like a dick.
Yes, and if you're driving for a business, it makes the business look like a dick.
Yes, it's right. So, if you want to make your boss's business look bad to customers, potential customers, that's the way to do it.
Oh, absolutely. And I actually have seen, this guy was self-employed, so he was his own business, but I have seen, like, a mobile mechanic, like, deliberately, like, stop at a red light, realise there's nothing coming, and then just keep going through the red light.
Yes, and I've seen the results of that many years ago in Brisbane. Well, actually it wasn't a red light, it was a stop sign. The person slowed down, didn't bother to stop, and just kept going, and it was cleaned up by another car. Because
you just left them nowhere to go.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right, now you want to talk about a San Francisco taxi documentary?
The taxi documentary I saw last night, actually. I was looking around on YouTube and found this documentary. But I wanted to talk about the sharing economy as a whole. Now, as previously mentioned, I will mention it again for the sake of transparency. Yes, I am a taxi driver. Okay, so let's get that out of the road so people don't find out about it later and go, oh, you terrible person, you're a shell, whatever. Right. There are companies, and a lot of people have heard of them, called Uber, Lyft, and that provide passenger services, and there is...
So they're technically ride sharing.
Yes.
They're not taxi services, they're ride sharing.
But they're still providing, in Australia at least, they are illegal, and in a lot of places, they are unlicensed, they are uninsured, and so this doesn't just hurt, this is not just for the drivers. I mean, the drivers are having problems getting enough because they keep ratcheting their fares down, and so because the drivers aren't employees,
yes,
they basically just, they suffer, they can't get enough money to live on. So, and also there's been a couple of problems with insurance, whereby they're not properly insured. So if you have an accident, and it's with an Uber driver and a Lyft driver, Lyft is another one that is one of these ride-sharing apps. If you have an accident, and it's their fault, good luck trying to get any money out of them.
Well, yeah, they wouldn't be covered on their insurance because their insurance is for a private vehicle and they're using their vehicles as a work vehicle, so their insurance are going, nah, sorry.
Yeah, that's been a lot of problems. In fact, in New Year's Eve, or the small hours of New Year's Day 2014, an Uber driver actually hit and killed a young girl, and yeah, the family basically had to sue it out of him because his insurance said no. Yes. And it happened to be he was negligent and he's now in prison for culpable driving because he was too busy looking at his phone to actually notice what was coming. There's another one, another company called Airbnb, which are supposed to be like people, homeowners and renters, rent out a spare room, whatever, on this platform to people who are travelling interstate or overseas or whatever. And most of the time it's fine, but a lot of cases, and again insurance comes into this because a lot of homeowners insurance, renters insurance doesn't cover these things because, yeah, ring up your home and contents insurance or call your landlord and tell him, oh, I'm having strangers over for money.
Yeah, most landlords will go, nope.
No.
No, we're not.
No. There's been quite a few evictions, particularly surrounding that, and insurance problems, because if someone falls down the stairs and breaks their neck, can't work anymore, your homeowner's insurance is going to go, no.
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 Yes.
But this leads into a documentary I saw on YouTube last night. It was about how basically this whole thing, because in San Francisco, for many years, they were all unionised, all taxi drivers were unionised employees. That through Yellow Cab and through Luxor, which are the two main cab companies in San Francisco, and all of them were unionised employees for many years, and for some reason that collapsed. And I didn't explain, with the frustration with this documentary, didn't explain how that happened. But eventually they ended up being contractors, but with all the, within all the insurance and the licensing and everything. But that caused, over the years, that built up so much corruption in the taxi industry that it caused a taxi shortage, because no drivers wanted to drive for him anymore. And a lot of the fleet managers were demanding extra money and what have you on top of the normal rental rates. And so this caused a lot of problems, and particularly with credit card payments or what have you, drivers wouldn't accept credit card payments so that they can hide what they're earning. And this has caused a lot of problems, and I would highly recommend this documentary. If you go to San Francisco, SF Taxi Town, I think the YouTube channel is called, I'll link it in the description, and hopefully I'll link it in properly this time. Because what I have a habit of doing is putting in the link in plain text. But if you right click it, it should come up, go to this link. So in any of the previous episodes, if you want or need to go to a particular link, right click it and it should come up, go to this link. But I will try my best to actually have a hyperlink in there you can click on and actually go to it. But yes, highly recommend this documentary. Very interesting, and it explains how it all happened, basically.
Right. Now, a couple of little firsts. Today is the anniversary of the death of Bertha Benz, wife of Gottlieb Benz, and she's the lady that pretty much without her gumption we wouldn't be having cars, because Gottlieb invented the car, but no one really wanted it because he'd had little test drives around where he lived, and those ain't fine, it's very expensive, but you're only doing little runs, so obviously it can't go very far, so really not that thrill. And this was frustrating Bertha, so she hatched a plan with her two sons to drive, what was it, 60 miles?
I cannot remember.
I think it was a 60 to 80 mile round trip from where she lived with Gottlieb to her mother's house and back. And so she set out very early in the morning to do this, because she knew Gottlieb would just go off his bean about it. So she set out very early in the morning, and off she went, and had a couple of small problems along the way, but basically got there, visited her mum, got back, and then people realised, well, maybe this car thing might have a bit of a future.
Yeah.
So this is today's the anniversary of Bertha Benz's death, and today is also the anniversary of the first American in space. Alan Shepard went up into space today. He went about
190 k's.
About 190 k's into space. By
So
today's standard, you can probably almost get there in a balloon. But anyway, yes, he went into about 190 k's up into space, and and safely returned. Basically, they just sat him on top of an intercontinental ballistic missile and fired him up there.
Yeah, that's what they all had because, being World War II being over, they had all these missiles that they didn't need anymore.
No, that wasn't. They had gone moved on. I mean, World War II in 62.
Well, 62 would have been nearly 20 years old.
Yes, but they fired him off up into space. Now, a little reminder about our bad joke competition.
I still have the watch here. Someone forgot the other prize to bring the other prize in.
Well, we'll show the watch.
I will just grab the watch, and this is the watch you can get. We can send it to you now. I will put the email address in the description again. Take it out of the.
So they can see it.
Take it out of the wrapper.
And it's this and a very attractive boxed fountain pen. The fashion watch and the fountain pen are the prizes for the bad joke competition. So just give us some groan-worthy jokes, and if we decide that your joke is the groan-worthiest, we will surprise. So just email it to the
email address. I'll put that in the description.
Yeah, what is it again?
I can't remember. I'll have to look at it. But
Okay.
yes,
Yes, very complicated. Memory span of a goldfish. Ooh, plastic castle.
Ooh, plastic castle.
Yes. Now, my book review. I forgot to bring the book with me. My book review.
It's old age.
Yes.
It's getting to him.
My Alzheimer's disease. My book review this week is a book called Sweet Tooth by Ian McEwan. It's essentially about a young lady and how her life, and she leads up to going to university, and then the story starts proper when she's recruited to go with MI5, and then at a certain point it all goes tits up, and then as a more mature woman she looks back at her how it all went tits up, and how she's going to pick up her life and gather it together. This guy is supposed to be a Booker Prize winner. I got to tell you, it's okay. Look, I'd pay paperback prices for it, less than $10, but damned if I'd pay hardback prices for it, like about $30+. Look, it's a way to waste a few hours reading. I just found that if I didn't have to read it for a review, I probably wouldn't have bothered. But if you're stuck at an airport and you need something to read, a little past the 3 hours or 4 hours or whatever.
Or if you have Wi-Fi and you have the YouTube app, look at us for a couple of hours. That works.
That works. You can do that.
Not that we're promoting ourselves at all.
No, we never promote ourselves.
No.
See?
See, we're not wearing T-shirts with our logo on them.
No.
No.
Yeah. So look, he's got about 12 novels out. Only one I've read so far has been Sweet Tooth. It was okay. But that's about all I'll call it. Out of 5, I'd probably give it a struggling 3. All right. Well, that's pretty much it for tonight.
And if you like us, subscribe and hit the like button.
Yes. Please. Subscribers are always nice to have. Okay. We'll catch you later.
All right. See you later.
Bye.